I was actually thinking today that if you're up for it, we could peek at some event scripts in Dark Souls 1.
Ooh, that sounds exciting.
Yeah, so what I've been trying to do is just get I've got a very beta version of a lot of updates I've been making to my event scripts sort of library, and if I can send you a sneak peek of that build, then I think it'll make things a lot easier for us.
Yeah, that sounds very cool. All right, so should we? You want to send me that build, or do we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's do that.
I will. Just trying to solve the last couple little issues because it's in Python. You know, when you distribute it, you kind of there's a sort of hacky way to repackage a Python program as an executable. And I have it on GitHub, but it hasn't been updated in a little while, and I've made a bunch of upgrades just as part of all the Elden Ring compatibility I've been adding. So if I can get this to you, and hopefully the fact that I'm just going to send you an executable doesn't cause us any pain again.
Hopefully, yeah. I don't know. My computer mates have started to distrust Grimrukh files, but we'll see.
Yeah, this executable was actually I gave up trying to upload it to Nexus because it kept getting flagged and taken down. So now it's just on my GitHub, just because it has some ways to edit the game memory directly as far as getting the player position and things, which is a very useful utility for modding. But yeah,
heck yeah.
Apparently generates some suspicious code. So some people have had that problem.
Yeah,
anyway,
definitely not a virus.exe, right? So excellent.
Not as far as I know yet. I think it's even more suspicious when it's Python as well, because it's normally we write these programs in C#, which is very Microsoft Windows embedded language, and so it's kind of more native when you're editing Windows platform memory.
Yeah,
this should be okay.
I never did any Python myself. I've done some stuff, some programming, but never done Python.
It's a really good gateway drug to programming, I think. As far as, almost all of my tools are written in Python, except for specific mods that do need to do a lot of memory editing, things like roguelike and survival darkness and things. But the format that I kind of designed for using event scripts is based on Python. It's like Python-like, but it's kind of, it's entirely compiled or converted to game code kind of in a custom way. But the advantage of that is that it lets you edit it in a Python editor program, something like PyCharm, and you get all the features of Python like autocomplete and IntelliSense and things like that.
Yeah.
But the Soulstruct editor that I made actually has its own text window as well, which is, I think, what we'll stick to today.
Nice.
I'm just making sure this actually opens my vanilla Dark Souls installation before I embarrass myself by sending it to you. Is your Dark Souls Remastered game kind of I know you've been doing the
remastered
mods. We can do PDD as well, so it shouldn't be an issue.
PTDE, let me check. That's a good question. I think we might have done randomizers for May with remaster. I think we did, maybe not. Oh my goodness, man, the server's still down. It's nuts.
I have no idea what they're doing with that.
No. Ooh, yeah, I think it's probably oh yeah, this is paramdomized. Oh no. Okay, hold on.
For event scripts, I mean, it's unlikely that there'll be anything else interfering with that. So whatever state your remastered kind of non-precious installation is in, will be fine. For
I'm just gonna reinstall it. It's easy enough with fiber and everything. It just goes bloop, bloop, and we're good.
Yeah,
blow it all away. All right. So.
That's one of the advantages we've experienced with Nightfall as well. We're fortunate to be modding a game that's only like 8 gigabytes in size in total, so it's very easy to just reset or refresh everything.
Easy.
And not have to wait for a long time. And of course, Remastered, I think, is still the only FROMSOFT game by kind of virtue of having that QLock third-party developer that comes unpacked, so you don't have to run UXM or anything like that. That's convenient as well.
Yeah, I feel like, I remember that happening. Like they were releasing it, and I was like, "Oh, it's all unpacked." And it seems like there are some times where they're like, "Well, why would we even bother?" Like when they fixed the Dark Souls 2 speedrun glitch by just there was like the skip for the Valley of the Drakes or whatever, and they just like put in a direct route that's like, never mind, you don't have to skip it. We just put it in here for you. It's like, okay, I get it. Yeah, I don't know. Unpacking it was just like, yeah, have access to the files. Just go. We know you're going to unpack it anyways.
Yeah, there's a few little winks and nudges in the QLOC code. Actually, one thing I tweeted about was they added the code that lets you change covenants from a bonfire menu. And the text ID they added that lets you do that, they just named it 69696969.
6969, of course, of course. You went robot for a second there. I don't know if you're doing any uploading or something that might have killed your upload for a second.
No, not that I know.
Might just be Discord servers. Let me rejoin real quick. I'll see if that's maybe me. Okay.
How do I sound?
Still a little robot-y.
Yeah.
Maybe
I'll try quitting and rejoining.
it could be. Yeah, it could be my download actually. It's not throttled, so it's just like zooming.
Yeah, you sound completely fine to me.
Oh, Well, it's almost done here. We'll see.
Yeah. Okay, things look good here. So I'm going to send you this latest version as well.
Excellent. Excellent. All right, how familiar do you need to be with programming for the scripting stuff to make sense?
It's a layer thing. So, again, this is another good reason to start with Dark Souls 1 because, there is a lot less going on in the event scripts compared to something like Elden Ring, and it's a lot easier to wrap your head around. It does come at the slight disadvantage of that there's a few things they hadn't quite figured out the best way to do yet, and the language for event scripting is missing some useful stuff like go-tos, so you can set up labels and jump points in the code and things like that. Yeah. It all kind of relies on us line skips. And so the disadvantage of that, even though it's very easy to read, is that if you skip the wrong number of lines in one of these scripts, even just if you're off by one, it can cause very weird effects that are hard to debug. But I've added some syntax that lets you avoid writing those line skips altogether. Things like writing if conditional blocks and things like that Python supports. To hopefully avoid some a lot of the pain I ran into with Daughters of Ash when I was kind of doing it at a very low level.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. I'm running it now. Remastered. Soulstruck project directory. This is where we're putting mod files.
That's right. So just create a new directory somewhere.
Okay.
And point to that.
Soulstruct. We'll say test. Boop. Okay. Now we're pointing at Dark Souls Remastered. Wait. Or are we pointing at the exe? Oh, no, just the folder, right? Yeah, there we go.
Just the folder,
okay.
Yeah. It used to be the exe, but Bloodborne doesn't have an exe, so now it's just folder to support Bloodborne. And yeah, click yes and accept all of these.
Okay, all of them. Yes, delete them.
Yeah, I added some quality of life stuff that actually, because one thing, again, caused us a lot of pain, especially during Daughters of Ash. The Duke's Archive is actually broken in the vanilla game. And if you try to add new regions, those boxes or points, and you try to refer to them in event scripts, the game just won't do anything. And that's because they duplicated some IDs and kind of broke the scripting system.
Whoops.
Yeah. And the event IDs that kind of break it aren't even used in the game. It's a bunch of patrol points for the Pisakas on the big spiral staircase.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Very, very funny. Yeah. So probably worth. I think you opened this on stream once a long time ago when the program was very new, and I actually still remember adding a lot of new stuff based just on your feedback in that first time. So a bunch of tabs up top. So you can see some of them familiar. So the params tab you'll be very familiar with from us looking at Yabba the other day, or Yaps rather. So there's less params to look at for Dark Souls 1. And I've kind of sorted them according to which ones are actually used, and there's a bunch of hidden ones that aren't used. And unlike Elden Ring, the names for these params are all still here. They just happen to be in Japanese, but for some of the params, you can look up the English names from the text by getting the same ID. And if you click on one of those weapons, you'll see all the fields on the right, again, just like Apt.
Yeah.
So that shouldn't be too unfamiliar. And there's a bunch of highlighted red ones just to, because there's kind of a hyperlink ability here, and if a param references one, you can right click on that field and jump to that param. So one of the upgrade origin items, for example. in this case.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, this is all basically the same. And yeah, so that field in particular is not going to reveal too much. The origin field, we looked at that last time, I believe, where that's just needed for reinforcement levels.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's useful for things like, if you're on a weapon and you want to apply a special effect to that weapon, this one doesn't, but you can jump to that and, do everything that way. So if you go to the Maps tab, again, this is something we looked at last time. But in this case, it's all text now. So you have these categories of entries in the map, and yeah, you can change which map you're looking at up the top there. And they're all named, just, hard-coded names that we know Dark Souls 1 uses.
Nice.
And I thought it's, ironically, the Depths is the first map in the list. I don't know whether that's because, Miyazaki's starting a new game after Demon Souls, and the first thing he wants to do is make this grimy sewer with a horrible
gaping
horrific
dragon
boss.
idea. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like, we got to find a home for this boss concept ASAP.
I seem to remember that Painted World was like the first thing they made for Dark Souls 1.
I believe that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, so we don't have any of those, hundreds of world grid maps in Dark Souls 1, of course, nor would we in any of the other FROMSOFT games.
Let me just zoom in here so people.
Yeah, sure.
People can read.
There is a way you can increase the text size.
Oh,
as
yeah.
Well. But yeah, I think it only works for event scripts. This is probably a safer solution.
All right. Okay.
Cool. That looks good.
Okay.
How's my voice now, by the way?
I think it's good. Yeah, I had you up a little bit loud and turned it down real quick, so hopefully it's better.
Awesome. Yeah, so we have events. We have models. Again, the models are something you don't actually have to edit yourself. It's just a list of all of the different, any model that's used by a part has to appear in those lists. So you don't need to touch that stuff.
Okay.
And we're just getting familiar here because the entity ID that is assigned to any of these parts is what we'll be referring to in the event script to manipulate the things in the map. Okay. And that's really what the event script does. You can think of it as doing two things. It's manipulating things in the map, including the player, and it's checking things in the map to determine when to do A or B, or when to wait for some condition to be true, and things like that. And all of it's handled through this event ID system. So if you go up to characters at the very top of
parts characters,
this list here, yeah, that's right. You can see these are the names of entries in the map. Just like in Elden Ring, they start off with the model name, and if you click on one of them, and on the right you'll see the data we can edit, and the first thing will be the model with a little tip after it as to what you're looking at.
Nice.
Player so you can find out, if you, exactly.
Large rat,
yeah, exactly. There you go. And I think C5260, probably down the bottom of this list, will be the gaping dragon.
Oh, interesting. Oh, right. We're in the depths. I forgot. Yep, there he is.
And you can also see, the entity ID assigned to this enemy. All of this is editable. Again, you're missing that really useful 3D visualization that Map Studio gives you that we looked at last time in Elden Ring, and I use that a lot to figure out where things are. But with Soulstruct, the added thing is that you can hook into the game, run around the game, and assign your current coordinates to anything in this list.
Oh,
so if you want to place a bunch of enemies in a map, you can just run around, stand where you want the enemy to be, and then in this program, you can right-click on that translate field where those XYZ coordinates are, and you can
copy from
copy from hook, exactly, once the game is running.
Nice.
So yeah, that's a pretty useful thing.
Yeah, very.
So if we go to the events tab, then we can see the real juicy stuff.
Oh boy, here we go. Yeah.
So this is the event script for this map. Actually, sorry, this is the common event script, which runs in all maps. It handles a lot of internal things that, kind of out of our scope right now. But yeah, if you go to Depths, again, Depths is a great map to start with because it does demonstrate a bunch of stuff that you see in a lot of other maps without being too complicated. Like the Gaping Dragon fight doesn't really have any unexpected twists to it, aside from the tail cut. There's no phase transition, there's no dual fight or anything like that. So, quick intro to how event scripts work. We have two very special events. An event, by the way, is just kind of one function block in this script. So you can see we have the constructor, that's event 0. The constructor always runs when you load the map, and it's mainly responsible for loading all the other event scripts which are in this map. Below a bunch of startup stuff, like it registers bonfires, which makes bonfires work.
That's cool.
It creates ladders.
Yeah.
In the depths, it's registering the statues of petrified players, And I believe that instruction is just kind of telling the game, okay, connect to the network, find a player who's just died from curse, and move the statue to their position, things like that. So often these instructions just tell the game to do things that we really don't have much access to. The yellow commands here, they're the actual instructions that are doing things. So register statue, for example. The purple commands, this is just coloring that I've done in this program here. The purple commands are kind of control flow. So they're checking things and they're skipping, or they're creating these condition clusters, which we'll look at soon, which are kind of the heart of event scripts. And the red ones, which you probably won't see in the constructor, but if you scroll down a bit, you'll see some red instructions in other events. They are halting events. So they are, the program will stop there for this event and it will wait for some condition to become true. And we'll look at how that works soon. Okay. And then it will continue after that. And we call that the main condition. And the game will not, each event script kind of has its own conditions that it's looking for. All of these are running in parallel. These are all like, multi-threaded events that are running. So it's all asynchronous. But the game will use those to make something synchronized happen. Or of course, often these events won't do anything unless some condition is met. Like, the boss event script is waiting to enable the boss AI until you enter the fog.
Right, yeah.
Which we'll see. And then, it's a fun little game finding out what each of these event scripts does, and the numbering they use for them is quite consistent across maps, like the template. Most of the event IDs are 8 digits, particularly in a map. The first 4 digits is just telling us what map we're in. The first digit is always a 1, and then we have 3 digits that correspond to the map. So we're in map 10-0, so we get a 100 there.
Gotcha.
Yeah. The 4 digits at the end are what really matter. That's kind of the suffix of the event ID.
Okay. If I'm looking at this, is this when you sit at a bonfire, it just kills everything?
No. And again, that's a fun game. So all the bonfire management stuff is internal, but figuring out what these do is a fun game. In this case, this is one of the Gravelord event scripts. So these are red phantoms, Gravelord phantoms. Or I don't remember what they're called, black phantoms, grave phantoms.
Yep.
So this event is checking whether, there's another script. If you actually use the find text box in the top right, if you search for black, then you'll, with capital B.
Oh. If Black World tendency?
Yeah, so the Gravelord Covenant system uses the Black World tendency, which is left over from Demon's Souls. I don't know exactly how it works. It only ever seems to compare it to a value of 50. But, when you start a Gravelord invasion, basically Black World tendency jumps to 50, and then all these scripts will run that will enable these Gravelord phantoms, which are just standing around disabled, waiting to be enabled. So that's
So theoretically, could you re-implement like Demon's Souls style tendency, where it's like have you tried to make a value other than 50, like an in-between value maybe?
No, because, and this is one of the restrictions we run into here, we don't actually have the ability to manipulate world tendency from an event script. There's no instruction that says, set world tendency or increment world tendency. In Demon's Souls, that would all have been done internally, I'm guessing. And all we can do here is check the world tendency. And there are instructions here for checking white world tendency too, but that is not used at all, and I'm not sure what would do it. So yeah, it's kind of it's piggybacking on an existing system, but barely resembles it, essentially. So a lot of what we see in event scripts are about flag manipulation as well. A flag is just, it's a single bit in the game memory that can be a 0 or a 1, and the game uses that to remember what's happened, basically.
Right.
And the thing about flags is that they're also 8 digits for maps. And when an event finishes, it will enable that flag that has the same ID as the event. This is kind of a hidden thing that can trip you up if you're not aware of it. And it's a shortcut way of saying this event has finished.
Right, okay.
The game doesn't always use them though.
Yeah. So when you create an event and it's got this ID, in this case like 5081, when this fully runs, then there's a flag that's automatically set with that same ID that's set to true?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Yep.
Interesting. Okay.
And you'll see a lot of manual flag enabling and disabling. Like in this event, for example, you can see there's a few disabled flags, including one 3-digit one, which is, when you see a 3-digit flag, that tells you that it's something quite low level in the game. And in this case, I imagine that's related to a Gravelord invasion being active.
Interesting.
In this case.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is there any good way, I'm sure you would get to that, but any good way to determine what a flag is, what it's responsible for?
So the game does come with a file that kind of indicates what each event is for. So an event ID you can look up in this file. They're in Japanese, but you can translate them and find out what the internal name for that event is, which I haven't really listed here. But other than that, no, it's something you kind of have to learn. And, you know, I have a lot of, you know, every time I start a new mod, I end up kind of re-documenting what a lot of the flags do.
Wow.
And a lot of them are consistent. Flags that have a 5 in the 5th position, by the way, so they end in 5,000 something. Those are temporary flags, so those flag values can be set, but whenever you reload the game, they'll be disabled automatically. So we call them temporary flags. And they're a useful way of indicating that, you know, you want to remember something's happened, but only while the map is currently loaded. So for example, the boss fight started, but, you know, it's not possible to load a game into and already be in a boss fight. The boss fight will always start off being inactive.
Right.
But another thing that can trip you up if you're, you know, trying to enable a flag to indicate something's happened and the game just not want to remember that that flag is being enabled. Just another thing to remember. So I thought, we could start off by looking at some of the boss events for the Gaping Dragon. And all of these events typically they end in 539X.
Oh, okay.
So you can actually just see the first
5390,
Yep. So, I mean, I've named some of these entity IDs automatically. That's a Soulstruck thing, but you can probably guess from what you can see here what might be happening in this event.
Say, if flag disabled, not sure what those parameters would be doing. Checking for...
So, this is probably a good time to talk about conditions.
Yeah.
So any instruction that starts with if is going to check something, which the name of the instruction tells you. And it might, be checking things based on parameters. And then it will kind of remember the result of that in what's called a condition block. And there are two types of condition blocks. There are AND blocks and OR blocks. The famous, the two big logical operations you can do, the AND and OR.
Sure.
The positive numbers are AND and the negative conditions are OR. So this instruction here, if flag disabled, is using condition 1. So it's using one of the AND conditions. And what that means is that it's creating a condition block and all of the things in that block have to be true in order for the entire condition to be considered true, which is what the red instruction there is doing right under this.
Right.
So again, to rephrase that, because this is probably easily the most confusing part of event scripts. We have if flag disabled and if action button are building an AND condition where the flag has to be disabled and this action button has to be pressed. The line under that, if condition true, is going to load that entire condition into the main condition 0 and basically say, wait for A and B to both be true before continuing here.
Okay, so 0 is some sort of like variable or like storage somehow, or?
0 is the special main condition register. So the game will this event script will only continue as long as the main condition is true. And here, we're setting the main condition to be this condition number 1 that we're building. And that condition number 1 has two things in it. It has this flag disabled check and this action button check. And the game is monitoring both of those at once. And because we used a positive condition, number 1, they both have to be true. It's an AND condition, not an OR.
Okay. And what is the 2 in if flag disabled?
That's the flag number we're actually checking. So flag number 2 has to be disabled. And it's not obvious because 2 is such a low numbered flag.
That's what I was wondering. It's like, okay.
And flag 2 is the flag that remembers whether the Gaping Dragon is dead.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. But so
that's more evidence that they designed it very early.
Yeah. So for much later, maybe Sanctuary Guardian or something, that number may be like in the thousands or like larger. Or
for the DLC, in the DLC they did actually use the full 8-digit flags for bosses.
Okay, big, yeah. So that could be a big number. I guess that's what was kind of confusing looking at it. So
exactly, yeah.
So then one is going to mean that everything in this block that we're checking has to be true for it to fire. And then if we were doing OR, which means anything could be true, right? Like, then would it be 0?
We'd use -1 in that case.
Oh, -1. Okay, so those are the two things. So, And then for this line here, and I'm just trying to figure this out for somebody who might be like, I don't know what the hell this means, but if I wanted to try and just like kind of copy paste a new, like basically make a new script block and see if I can get something to happen. And they understand that part about, you know, everything needs to be true here because it's and. Is it you? Are you pretty much always putting if condition true in and checking against the main event? Is that right?
Yeah, if you want an event to wait for something to be true, whether you want to wait for multiple things to be true together, or you want to wait for any number of things to be true, like using an or condition, then you would almost always have an if condition true 0, and then some input condition. There are 7 slots for each condition type available, by the way. So you can use and conditions 1 to 7, or conditions -1 to -7.
Interesting.
And the minus sign is just indicating or. Now, I'm kind of giving a bit of an intro here, and for those who want more detail, Hot Pocket Remix, who I can see in the chat, has some great YouTube tutorials that really dig down into the details of how these work, if you want to know. But all that said, I've designed some ways using Python shortcuts to kind of allow you to avoid doing this altogether.
Oh, okay.
And that's what we can take a look at as well here. You can, instead of trying to build these conditions line by line, you can just write if something and something, and then use a colon and an indentation. And I'll actually, we can take a look at that in a second.
Yeah.
So just while we're looking at that, the action button instruction, again, this is going to generate a prompt on the screen to press A to do something.
Okay.
And we have a text ID, so that's telling you what to press A, and in this case it will say enter fog. And then we have the anchor entity, so where in the map is this prompt going to appear? And it's a box, which means as long as we're standing in that box, then this prompt will appear. And we have an additional check here for a line intersection, and that line intersect is actually going to intersect the fog object itself.
Interesting.
And that's an extra way of saying, enable the prompt when you're standing in this box, but only if a line, like a raycast coming out of the front of the player, is intersecting the fog object.
Yeah, so if you're in front of the fog, but you're facing like to the side, it may not show up.
Exactly,
Okay.
Yeah, and there's also like a boss version argument. I have no idea what that actually does, but it's it's set to true if this is a boss fog gate. Yeah.
Fair enough.
And then after, so in this case, in order for that prompt to appear, the flag has to be disabled as well because of the order that we've constructed the condition here. So, if the Gaping Dragon is dead, then that flag 2 is going to be enabled, so the action prompt will never appear for you, and it will never be possible to get this event to fire to continue after that red line. But if you do trigger it, then you can see what's going to happen right after that. And this is the fun, simpler part. We're going to rotate the player to face it's actually an invisible box inside the arena. So that's how the game gets the player to face the right way and then we're going to force the player to undergo an animation, and you can guess what that animation is. It's going to be the fog walk animation.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. So for people who may not be familiar, like a lot of game stuff checking like where you are, or like kind of using zones is like these what am I saying? Like zone, like triggers, like kind of these blocks that if the character is within it, then you can check and see if they're in this zone or and function that way. So that's what they're using here, right? With these boxes for pointing at it, and also for if they're within this Dragon Fog prompt area, kind of.
And you have to press A at that prompt in order to continue here.
Right,
that's what the if action button is checking.
Right.
If you press the action button with these parameters, then that condition will be true, and combined with the flag, you'll get the main condition to pass here.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And you can see after it forces you to walk through the fog, the event actually restarts. So this will work again. If you were to somehow glitch, no-clip your way out of the boss arena, you would still be able to enter, because the event's going to restart and it's going to do the same check again, because the action button has to be pressed again.
Gotcha.
Normally, an event will just end after this, and in that case, you would not be able to get it to happen, because the event will not kind of go back to the start at this point. It will just reach the end and then stop and not do anything.
Got it.
So that's another interesting thing that they set up here.
Yeah.
So after that, we have almost an exact copy of that same event for 5391, except this time it's for summons. So you can see there's an extra check here, or a couple of extra checks. We have this flag 5393 has to be enabled, which is the flag that we'll see in a second, which indicates that the boss fight has started.
Okay.
And
that's
there's a character type check.
And that we can know is specific to the depths, because we've got this 100. and it's probably the fact that Gaping Dragon is engaged. Is that right?
Exactly, yeah. And we'll see that event. In fact, it's right below this one. You can see the next event is 5393.
Okay.
And yeah, so when event 5393 finishes, that flag will automatically be enabled, and that will allow summons to enter the boss fog as well.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and you can see there's a character type checkers there. They have to be a White Phantom.
White Phantom, yep.
So now, in this case, condition 1 has 4 things.
I just have a question. Is White Phantom, is that separate from, say, Sunbro Gold Phantom? Or is that's also considered White Phantom?
Yeah, that's also considered a White Phantom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and those, the full enums are kind of available in the code. And again, that's one of the advantages of using a Python editor, because you'll be able to kind of auto-complete all those character types. But my dinky little homebrew text editor here can't do for us. And yeah, otherwise the rest of this event is basically the same. And the player, you can see the all caps player, it's actually a shortcut for entity ID 10,000.
Okay.
And that always refers to the player.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's like
and
a defined, like if you define something in C#. Yeah, whatever. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a constant that always refers to the player. So,
right.
And that's true for all games, I believe.
Cool.
So below this, we have 5393, which is going to just basically wait until the player is standing inside the cutscene trigger.
Gotcha.
And then it's going to do a little bit. It's going to notify a boss battle start, which is going to tell the summon, the host has engaged the area boss. And then it's going to activate multiplayer buffs for the Gaping Dragon. So that character entry we have as an argument there, C5260, that's going to be Gaping Dragon. And it's going to check how many summons are in the world and apply the appropriate buff to the Gaping Dragon.
So I've always wondered this. If you summon somebody and then step in, I guess has it already made, so after the cutscene plays, if the summoned person comes in after that, does the boss's health not get buffed? Or has the game already determined that there is a connection and thus it should be buffed? I don't know. I've always wondered that, if you can delay somebody being summoned to the point that you're already fighting the boss, do they adjust it after that?
Yeah, well, this event script kind of tells us the answer, and it would behave the exact way that you think. So, this instruction, if we see what it's actually doing, first of all, we have a line skip up top, which is actually worth noting. It's skip line if this event flag enabled.
Okay.
So that's checking if this event flag is already enabled, skip the next 3 lines, which is going to skip that waiting period.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and what that basically means is that,
gotcha.
Because this is a temporary flag, it's unlikely this event flag would already be enabled, but, they write a lot of this stuff to be kind of support networking a bit better, because, when you summon a player, they kind of, their event scripts have to synchronize with yours, and the game is checking flags and things. So a summon arrives, and if the player's already triggered this event, so they've already entered the cutscene trigger and the buffs have been applied, the condition will be skipped, and the multiplayer buffs will be added to the character in their game as well.
Gotcha.
I believe. Yeah. And you can see that notify line is being skipped if you're a client. So that's checking, are you a client? Are you in someone else's world?
Right.
And in that case, you will not create this chain of notifications letting everyone
client
know
as
over and over.
A client as in not a host. You're not the host of the game. Yeah.
Yeah, you're in someone else's world.
I have one question that I noticed is that at the tops of several of these events that we've got never restart, and yet some of them still have restart. Is this just something that means nothing?
So, never restart. That name is probably actually a bit misleading. What that means is that, and this is kind of the default way events are, is that when you rest at a bonfire, the event won't restart.
Okay.
Yeah, so some events you'll see they say restart on rest instead of never restart.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and that means that whenever you rest at that bonfire, that event will restart. That's important to add. Yeah, there's one.
Yeah.
So anything that kind of manipulates characters, so this is kind of setting up the Gaping Dragon, it's important that it restarts on rest, or when you rest at a bonfire, we need to run all of this character management again, because by default, when you rest at a bonfire, all the characters are going to be reset. And so we need to make sure that they're being manipulated the right way.
Okay.
There's one more event type that's just called unknown rest type, which I believe is only used for reassembling skeletons. I'm not sure if
Wow.
we've figured out exactly what that means yet. It's some other condition for when the event restarts, but Hot Pocket might know by this point. So 5392, yeah, this is the most exciting boss event.
Okay.
First of all, we have kind of if the flag is already enabled, so you can see that death flag in the first line there.
Oh yeah. 5, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
What
We're skipping 5 lines if event flag 2.
Oh, event flag 2. Gotcha.
disabled.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's right.
And again, so this is kind of a complicated way of saying if the gaping dragon is already dead, do this, and we can actually we can replace that. So I'm going to send you some text on Discord just so that we can, and just to show you that you can replace.
Let's see.
1 sec, just writing it. Okay. So I just sent you a single line. Yeah.
Okay.
Just copy that line and paste it over that skip lines if disabled.
Oops.
Yeah. Yeah, and then delete the next line.
Okay. Do you have? Is it just like / for comments in this, or semicolon, or do you?
You can use hashes to comment out.
Hashes.
Yeah, that's Python.
Okay.
And then just indent those the 5 lines under it, because that's part of the if check here. So you might need to put 4 spaces. Yeah, there you go.
Boop. Gotcha.
And the end as well. And now click save and compile down the bottom. That will kind of recheck the syntax.
Oh, at the bottom. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. That's when it adds the coloration and stuff. Nice.
So what we've just added here is functionally identical, but in this now you don't have to worry about line skips. So this is Python syntax. This is very standard Python. So if some check, then run this code, and the indent is telling us that all that code is part of this if check.
Right.
So a little bit of Python familiarity helps here. But of course, if you want to use raw instructions with line skips and conditions, you can do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can delete that skip line now, the commented one.
Okay.
Yeah, and what you can imagine under the hood now, it's my software is calculating. Okay, I see 5 lines in this block, so I'm going to create this skip lines if flag disabled, which is functionally equivalent.
Sure.
But this is a lot easier to read, and when you're writing it, you're less prone to errors here.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So we can see if that flag is enabled, which is the Gaping Dragon death flag, we're going to disable the Gaping Dragon. We're going to disable the Gaping Dragon's tail. That's that second line. And we're just for good measure, we're going to kill them as well. Yeah.
All right.
Which you see a lot. And I think that's just the way of the game going. Yeah, I don't even want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even want to. There's no chance this character will be re-enabled. So I'm going to disable them and then silently murder them while they're unloaded.
So
and then we're going to end the event.
This runs every time you sit at a bonfire. It just checks.
Exactly.
And then it'll just kill Gaping Dragon, even though it's already dead. Just kill it.
Exactly. So every time you rest at a bonfire, Gaping Dragon will be, will come back to life for a split second and then immediately be disabled and killed with its tail.
That's yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
So then I presume then it has to be, you have to have the event enabled that you're in the encounter for it to grant you rewards when he dies?
Yes, so that's a good point here. The kill instruction has a second argument, which defaults to, and that second argument is whether you get souls from the killed enemy.
Oh, interesting.
And it defaults to false. Yeah, so that's why the kill here doesn't give you souls. For the boss rewards, we're going to see that in a second.
Okay.
Yeah. So after that check, which we've now kind of changed to make it more readable, we have another line skip. It's just a 1-line skip. And it's checking another flag, which is actually kind of the first flag in the map, 11000000.
Yep.
And that flag is the flag indicating that the intro cutscene for this boss has already played.
Interesting.
Now, the interesting thing is, normally that flag does stay enabled, and that's why you only see the cutscene once. For Gaping Dragon, they actually disable that flag every time the map loads, which is why you get this cutscene every time you die and come back to fight the boss. You'll see that cutscene again.
Huh.
So this check is kind of pointless because
I didn't even remember that. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think it's because the Gaping Dragon, even though in the cutscene it looks like it comes and creeps up over the edge, famously so.
Yeah.
But in the game, it's just sitting in the middle of the room, invisible, like waiting to be enabled.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
Yeah, and I think they decided that given that you can see it from up above where the channeler is and everything, and they have to kind of come up with excuses for you not to be able to hurt it.
Yeah,
they're just like, all right, this boss is just going to re-enter through cutscene every single time you load the map. and fight it.
Very cool.
Yeah. So that disable character line is always going to be run because that flag is going to be disabled at the point this event runs.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So that's disabling the Gaping Dragon. We also disable its AI, and that's more common, you know. And that's why you can, if you find a way to attack bosses without triggering the fight, they'll just stand there and take it because their AI has been disabled by an event script.
Awesome.
Yeah. So now we have another little kind of 4-line check here. So we have those 3 purple instructions being loaded into condition 1, and then that familiar red line where condition 1 is being loaded into the main condition 0.
Right.
And again, this is just a long-winded way of saying if A and B and C, then continue. And in this case, A is waiting for that flag to be enabled. That's the flag from the event we just looked at above, which triggers when you enter the boss room, and it does that notification.
Yeah.
So again, that event is automatically silently enabling that flag when it finishes, so just after the activate multiplayer buffs line.
Right, because when it completes, it becomes true. I gotcha.
And even if the restart is there, that flag will still be enabled, which is one of those little things worth noting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one completion of it, regardless of loops, it will be set to true. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Interesting.
It host. So, you have to be the host in order to continue with this event. It's not going to. It doesn't matter if you're a client standing in that cutscene trigger. It's not going to work. And then we have another if character inside region. We're just checking, is the player standing inside this cutscene trigger, which is a little box just inside the fog from memory. And the red line's going to wait for all 3 of those things to be true. And I'm actually going to just send you another replacement line we can do for this check.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, just to show you how the await works. So, sec. Trigger.
You guys got all that? Taking notes?
There we go.
There's going to be a test after this, all right? Okay, let's see. Oh, wait, yeah, host and... Boop, boop. Okay, so this is right after the if condition true?
This is actually going to replace all 4 of those lines. So the 3 if lines
all
and then
these?
the red if line.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to keep these here for now and comment them. I like to have them just as a reference so I can be like,
exactly.
What? Yeah, what's the...
That's a good idea. And I might have made a typo, so...
Oh, no! All right, so...
sorry, I just removed that colon at the end. I shouldn't have put a colon
I gotcha.
at the end of this, because there's no indented block. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's see. We've got await. Looks a new function. Flag enabled. Sure, makes sense. Make sure that flag is enabled. And host. So if your character's the host. And... Okay, so this has a little less context, but if the player's standing in that cutscene trigger.
Yeah, exactly. And you can, there is a thing you can add there. You could write player inside region and then put brackets around that box. But just for convenience, given that the thing you're most often doing with boxes is checking if the player is in it,
sure,
I let you just kind of use that as a Boolean check, just the box itself.
Gotcha.
And that's a shortcut of saying if the player is inside this region.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's one line replacing those 4. And you can see, what it's going to do is it's going to find an unused condition slot, like 1. Because we've got the ands in there, it's going to use a positive condition, not a negative condition. And it's going to basically auto-generate those 4 lines that we just commented out based on this.
Gotcha. Yes, the and being there makes a lot more sense to me than, I mean, at least at a first glance, than, if flag enabled 1, and then I'm like, which one was 1? Like, oh yeah, and so now all of these need to be true and not just one of them. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
And we could replace those ands with ors, and then under the surface, Soulstruck would be using condition -1 instead of 1.
Nice.
Yeah. And it will also it will determine whether to try to use a line skip command or to build a condition depending on what's available, because some checks only support conditions rather than line skips. Like you can't skip line if player inside this box, for example. You have to create a condition. Yeah. Interesting.
So can you kind of reiterate or maybe go into further into depth about how these building of conditions works? Like, this is more behind the scene? Is that right? Like it's creating a condition with all of these conditions, I guess. But like, is it assigned to a number in the back, or like, how does it work exactly?
Yeah, so if you imagine each condition slot is like a robot waiting to receive things to monitor.
Okay.
And that's important to remember. You know, when we say if flag enabled 1 and then that number, like that first commented instruction here, we're not checking the flag right now and recording its value right now. We're saying keep an eye on this, right? And you're waiting for it to be enabled.
Okay.
So all of this is waiting. And then by giving them, you know, in this case, we're using robot number 1, which is an AND robot. So any condition we tell this robot to monitor, all of them have to be true at once for the robot to go, okay, I'm happy with what's going on. I'm going to raise a flag that says, you know, I am true as a total condition. Whereas the negative ones would just wait for anything that they're monitoring to be true before continuing.
Right.
And so in this case, yeah, we're only using one of these robots, number 1. So it's an AND robot. And this robot we're telling it, all right, wait for this flag to be enabled. And then in the next line, we're saying also, you know, monitor whether the player is a host, and then also monitor whether the player is standing inside this box. And so it's watching all 3 things. You can imagine its attention is darting between them. The game is constantly checking all 3 of these things. And only when all 3 are true at once will the robot go, okay, I am true. I am a true condition, like a total condition.
Gotcha.
And then because we're plugging it into main, which is usually the last thing we do, the main condition, which is, you know, the boss, is going, I refuse to continue until you raise your flag, robot number 1. And yeah, that's my off-the-cuff metaphor.
Sure. And I guess the main thing that I was trying to like feel really solid about is how it's all packaged into like just one robot is handling these conditions. And is that this end line here, this if condition on true, or if condition true 0 input condition, is that kind of like the end of a block of checks that lets you know like that is that certain... Yeah.
That's a good question. It's worth noting, you can see just below this, we're actually using condition -1 as well. We're doing a quick character type check. So you can see that's going to be an OR condition.
Right.
And that one we're not even waiting for. We're just going to, you know, we're going to check it, and then we're going to immediately end if it's true right now.
Gotcha.
But if it's not, we're going to continue. And this is just a way of saying, oh, abort this event if the player is an intruder or a black phantom.
Right.
Which in this game I think are the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Once we plug a condition into the main condition 0, we can't add anything else to that condition.
Interesting.
Yeah.
For that,
so we're saying
for this script block.
Yeah, just for this script.
Okay.
It will block because we're loading something into the main condition 0. That will always block until the input condition is true. And you know, we don't even have to use a condition sometimes. If we only wanted to check whether a flag was enabled, then we would write if flag enabled 0 and then the flag number. And that would wait until that flag was enabled.
Okay.
So the main condition functions the same way. But when you want to connect multiple things together using either AND or, you have to use these condition numbers that are greater than 0 for AND or less than 0 for OR.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And then once you start, you know, you're starting to build these conditions using the same number. And you know, as we scroll down, this can get quite complicated. Like you can be building OR conditions that are then loaded into AND conditions, which is just like putting brackets around a bunch of parts of the check.
Yeah, this is like a bunch of nested ifs and other checks.
Yeah. And that's why I added, you know, it was quite painstaking, but I did add this syntax to just forget about conditions altogether. And I think I wrote most of my mods without using conditions at all now.
That's great.
Nice.
That's
But yeah, that's what's happening under the hood. And because there are only 7 of each type available, like 7 AND and 7 OR slots.
Yeah.
If you try to do too much in one event, you can actually run out of condition slots to use, and then you know it will complain. My software will complain that you're trying to do too much.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah, a lot going on there.
What would happen within the game? Just would going beyond that 7? Would they just not even check for those?
So I think if it depends. Once you use a condition, I suspect it's actually freed up, and you can then reuse it after your blocking instruction, the condition true 0 one.
Right.
But I'm not 100% sure about that. I know you can, conditions can stick around and you can check them again after they're done, but they're not updating anymore. They're just like a robot that's set in stone because it was already loaded into the main condition. But if I think you can probably reuse the numbers safely. I would guess if not, then what would happen is that you would just overwrite your previous checks, right? Or you'd just be adding on top of them, right?
Sure.
Because
Yeah.
if I'm using condition 1 here for this check, we need 3 things to be true at once. If I forget I used one and I just start using it for something else, then I might be adding on top of those earlier checks. And so I'm building a very large, very strict condition in that case. Hot Pocket confirms, yeah, condition groups are freed after main execution. So
Nice.
you can reuse them, but only if they've already kind of served their purpose in the condition 0 check here.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, just to go back here, we've, let's see. So we're disabling, wait, this is disabling Gaping Dragon, disabling AI.
Yeah. You can put new lines in, by the way. It makes it easy for you to read. You can separate chunks of this script.
Oh, yeah, just like separate it out, yeah. And so we've got, if the previous flag was enabled, which is the one where we're checking that the player is in the cutscene box. Right. Huh. Well, okay. And then and that the player is the host, and that they're not an invader. Then, what are we doing here? Skip lines. We've got some other stuff going on.
Yeah. So again, we have a line skip here, and we've seen this flag before. It's the one that we just saw above, which checks if the cutscene has already played.
Mm-hmm.
And again, normally that flag would only happen once. And you can see where that flag is being enabled. It's actually just below this. You can see enable flag 11 million. Yeah. So it might help to just put an enter after that line, because that's the last line in this block of 7 that we.
Oh, I see. For the skipping.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And now we can see. So if that flag is enabled, we're skipping all this cutscene playing stuff, and we're going straight to the part where we just enable AI and enable the boss health bar, which is fairly straightforward.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if the cutscene flag isn't enabled, then we have to do this cutscene activation. And there are this happens very frequently, depending on whether we are in multiplayer mode. So if we have any clients in the world, it will change the cutscene flags in order to make the cutscene unskippable.
Gotcha.
Which is what's happening there. Yeah.
So.
And then it's playing it to a certain player too.
Yeah, there's this skip lines 1, and that's just that's just
So
always going to execute, right?
Well, only if we don't use the previous skip, and this is where line skips get very complicated. It's like an if-else sort of check.
Yeah,
so you can see it says skip lines if multiplayer, and if we are in multiplayer, we will skip the next 2 and we'll do the second play cutscene instruction.
Gotcha. So
if we are not in multiplayer, we're going to do the first cutscene instruction and then skip the second one.
Yeah, I originally interpreted it, and I thought maybe it was ignoring other skip lines. Like this was line 1, and then the other play cutscene was line 2. But now I get how it's doing an if-else kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And again, we can rewrite that in a much simpler way.
Nice.
Which I'll just send to you right here.
If single player.
Yeah. Just replace that first skip lines if multiplayer instruction.
So.
And then we're going to indent the line below that. So if single player, we're doing this.
Yeah. Then we do this.
And then on the next line, put else :
Nice.
Yep. And then indent the next line. So there you go. That does exactly the same. Yeah, that does exactly the same thing. Yeah. And again, it's under the hood. It's going, oh, okay. I will. You want to check if it's single player, so I will skip this if we're in multiplayer, which is the opposite of single player, and so on.
So is single player something that's defined already within Dark Souls, or is that something that you do as? I guess you wouldn't. Yeah, I guess it is defined already. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. It's a shortcut here, just like host in the check we did above. It's a shortcut for running one of the conditions that just checks if you're host or single player.
Gotcha.
So it's like a shortcut for if host or if multiplayer.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And of course, we also have this cutscene flag check, and we could indent this whole block under another flag check. If flag disabled, and then we put in that cutscene flag, then run all this. And so on. That wait frames, by the way, you'll always see that after a cutscene in Dark Souls Remastered, at least.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's because It's because of that, I think, 1 frame fade out you get on cutscenes. If you don't wait 1 frame after requesting a cutscene to play, then you'll see, in this case, you'll see the gaping dragon snap into existence for a split second. Yeah.
Nice.
So it's like, all right, give the cutscene a chance to play. Wait 1 frame, which is funny.
Cool. And then name the boss, and then you're off fighting the boss.
Yep, that's right. And then the flag for this event will be enabled, the one that ends in 5392. Right. And that's going to be used elsewhere as a flag for, is boss active?
Right.
Yeah.
Very cool. So then, like, the tail would be... Is that all, like, where the tail is initialized or activated, I guess?
We'll see that in a sec, actually, if we
okay.
keep making our way down this list.
So
next we have kind of a out-of-nowhere ID, which is 0001. And this is the death check flag. Yeah. So off the bat, you can see this event is just immediately waiting for the character to be dead. It's loading this check into condition 0. So, and the red gives that away. So if character dead, use this. So we're not using a condition. We're actually waiting right here for this 1 condition to be true.
Gotcha. Then
we're going to enable flag 2, which we've seen previously. That's the Gaping Dragon death flag. And this is where that flag is enabled. Then just for good measure, we're going to kill the Gaping Dragon's tail to get rid of it. That would be disabled generally at this point. Then we have this special kill boss instruction, which indicates that the area boss is dead. And we're passing in the ID of this game area, which is usually the same as the boss entity ID. And that's what's going to prevent enemies from dropping humanity and prevent you from summoning other players.
Gotcha. But wait, so, okay. This makes more sense. I was thinking this was checking if the player was dead, but no, I get it. I get it now. Okay, so if the Gaping Dragon's dead, then, enable... Wait, 2 is the cutscene being watched? Is that right?
That's Gaping Dragon being dead. Remember
that's Gaping Dragon
boss
dead.
flags.
Okay.
Yeah, flags 2 to 16 are used for boss death. Yeah.
All right.
It's very low-numbered flags that are very important, just to track game progress.
So then you kill the tail. Does the kill function, does this include, like, cleanup as far as, like, removing models or, like, collisions on stuff, or no?
It does, because the tail is going to be disabled, mostly. It will happen very silently, and the tail will just be basically deleted from the map. Once you kill something, I don't believe there's any way to bring it back to life, which is why I think we spoke about this a little bit for Elden Ring as well. Why they make the player immortal during the tutorial boss.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, not tutorial boss, but the required boss death.
Yeah. Interesting.
Because once you kill something, it's very hard to get it back without reloading the map. Yeah.
Very
so
cool.
killing that tail just basically gets rid of it, and that's the game going, well, I don't need you anymore because your host is dead.
Yeah.
Then we're going to disable the fog wall object and delete the VFX for that fog as well.
Man, deleted. Just deletes the files. It's like, never going to need this again. No. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, so that handles if we kill Gaping Dragon. All right.
Yep. And again, remember, all of these events are operating simultaneously. So this event is going to be, from the very first frame when the map is loaded, it's going to be just staring at the Gaping Dragon, waiting for it to die so we can continue.
All right.
Yep. Next we have the activating boss music. And this event usually 5394. You'll see this in other maps as well for Dark Souls Remastered. That first instruction, disable network sync, you see that in events where, it should kind of operate separately for each player, because each player will have their own music trigger when they enter the boss arena. Not just when one player.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
And then we have a similar check to what we've seen before. So we're waiting for the boss to not be dead. That's the first check. We're waiting for the boss to be active. That's that main event we just saw before, where the boss AI is enabled.
Right.
And we're waiting for this player to be inside that cutscene trigger, just inside the fog.
Yep, and then this is if all that is true, since it's a type 1 check, so it's and. So if all those are true, then we do whatever's after that. And in this case, enable sound event. Nice.
Yep, that's it.
And is there a definition, I guess, elsewhere as to whether or not it's a looping sound, since this is music?
Yeah, that's all going to be in the definition for the sound file.
Okay. Cool.
And we can actually, all these IDs we're seeing, we can jump over to the Maps tab and we could find that entry because these are all entities that appear in the map.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah. For the most part here, we can refer to them by names instead, like Gaping Dragon cutscene trigger. But, that is just that's a variable name for a number of the entity ID for that box in the map.
Right.
But, those are a pain to remember. So we store them elsewhere and then we let names take the reins.
Yeah. Gwazi says, why the sound enables separate events? Is it just for the network sync? And yeah, I guess that's a good question, but yeah, probably, right? Because otherwise, if the boss is enabled, then everybody would start hearing music, which...
So that's where we disable network sync. I think Gwazi might also be asking, you can see we have a sound activating event here, and then the one below it, 9.5, is responsible for disabling the sound. And you can imagine, well, couldn't I just, kind of paste these events together, and then, after I enable the sound event, then I start waiting for the conditions to disable it. But yeah, they typically split these up into multiple small events that run kind of, in parallel, just to handle conditions where summons join at certain times. I think they keep it quite separate. But yeah, in this case, it's entirely possible for, that disabled, you can see that sound event here. All that's doing is waiting for the boss death flag to be enabled, and it's waiting for the sound enabling flag to be enabled, that 5394 flag.
Right.
And again, because that flag's only going to be true once the enable sound event finishes. It's going to enable its own ID.
Right.
And that will allow this event to continue. So yeah, sometimes it feels like these are a little too fragmented. And one thing you actually find while modding, if your mod is only for single player, you don't have to worry about this stuff at all. You can just have one giant event for the entire boss fight that just does all of this from start to finish. So first it's going to wait for you to enter the fog, then it's going to enable the boss behavior and the music, and then it's going to wait for the boss to die, because those things have to happen in that order.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know if we want to do this maybe after we've gotten through some more of these scripts, but I was thinking it could be helpful if we could just create kind of a skeleton, an outline for what at a base level, what you need a script for a boss, right? If somebody was making or modifying a boss, what are all the steps? Initialization, activate and sound and this and that. I think that could be cool.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good idea.
Is there a lot more here regarding...
No, we're almost done.
Oh, okay,
we're almost done.
Yeah, let's keep going then.
Yeah. So 9.5, we just looked at, that's straightforward. It's just waiting for, it's waiting for the boss to be dead and the sound to be enabled. Yeah. And then it's going to disable the sound.
Cool.
Then we have 5396. This is a special event that you'll only really see for certain bosses, which is the tail management.
Oh. Yeah.
So we got restart on rest, first of all, as the event tag. So whenever you rest at a bonfire, this is going to restart, which makes sense because it's handling a character. The cut tail is its own character. That's model 5261.
5261.
Yeah. And the first thing we do is disable that. And then we check if this event flag, so the event flag with the same ID as this event, if that's already enabled, we just end right now. And that means the tail cut is done.
Gotcha. Wait, but he gets the tail back, doesn't he? Yeah, you can recut tails.
That's right. And that's because this is using an event flag in the 5,000 range, which is temporary. So whenever you reload the map, all of these events are going to be disabled anyway.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what this is doing is, if the host has already cut the tail off and then a summon joins, they'll see that the tail cut event is already enabled and it will be disabled.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Then we're waiting for the flag 5390, which was the fog entry flag for the host. And so none of this will start until the host at least has entered the battle arena. Then we have a few, relatively rare instructions. These are only really used for tails or special parts, like Smo's hammer. That's a special part because it's invincible. And
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So the arguments here for this create NPC part, we have the NPC it's going to be part of, which is the Gaping Dragon. Then we have the part ID, and this is all just defined internally. And this is basically making the Gaping Dragon's tail, part of the Gaping Dragon model. It's making it behave like its own part. And we're giving that part 300 health, which is how much health the tail part of the Gaping Dragon is going to have.
Yeah.
Then we're going to do a comparison check. And if the health of that part, and we're using that same NPC part ID 5260, that's how we know which part we're talking about. If the health of that part is equal to equal to 5, looks like it's doing part health comparison.
Value equal 5, yeah. Comparison equal value 5.
Yeah, I was tripped up here because it looks like there's a little coloring error. That purple, it should actually be red because it is using condition 0.
This one here?
That's what was confusing. Yeah, you can see that it is using condition 0, but I think because it's a multi-line split here, because it would be too long, my syntax color is just getting that wrong. Which is good to know. So we're waiting here for the tail's health to become equal to 5.
5.
Looks like.
Interesting.
I'm surprised by that. That might be a decompilation error. I think it's supposed to be 0.
Huh.
I'll have to check that. Yeah, so I think that's meant to be 0, and I'm just processing the arguments wrong here. One of the bugs, this is why this is a low boss alpha, because I've got all these Elden Ring updates that haven't been fully tested yet.
So
anyway.
You think right now that if we just exported all of this, then like tails you would have to get them to exactly 5 health in order to break, not.
It's possible.
No less.
Yeah, it depends if the error goes in both directions or not.
Gotcha.
Yeah, 2 wrongs might make a right, or it might just completely break, and yeah, it becomes a game of get the tail to 5 health to cut it.
That's a real challenge.
So yeah, ignoring that bug, we can see once that is true, we're gonna make an easy state request, which is requesting the character to do a certain thing in its AI script. This is where event scripts are going to communicate with the AI script of the Gaping Dragon.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Which we haven't looked at all yet. AI scripts use a whole different scripting language called Lua, which is it's a public language, but whole different setup. But in that script, there will be something, the Gaping Dragon will know what to do when command 1001 is set to, is requested here. And what that's going to do is request the Gaping Dragon to do its, you cut my tail animation.
Yeah. What is the slot here?
That is for the AI as well. Like the AI system has slots where you can add events, you can add commands to them. So, this tells us that we're going to send command ID to slot 0.
Is it like for queuing? Like
no, it's not for queuing as much as, there are you can only enable a certain number of commands in each AI script, and so we're using slot 0 here. So we'd want to make sure that when we do this, we aren't I see Hot Pocket knows what I'm doing. Yes. I've got the comparison type and value backwards in that previous check, so that explains it. Thanks, Hot Pocket. I'll fix that up.
Nice.
Yeah. So we're requesting the dragon to complain that we've just cut off its tail, and then we're going to wait for a Tay event. A Tay event is something that happens during an animation. So now we have communication between the animation events and these event scripts, and we're waiting for the animation that enables event 400. And again, these numbers are all just arbitrarily chosen by FromSoft. You just have to you have to know what you're doing and what you're listening for.
Yeah.
And this event is going to be enabled at the exact moment during the animation when we should make it look like the tail has been cut off.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is very carefully timed. And
interesting.
Yeah. And in this case it will probably happen right at the start of the animation.
Yeah,
because
right.
The tail gets cut off immediately.
Yeah.
And you can see what we're quickly doing then. You can imagine, the puppeteers wearing black working behind the scenes here, where they're enabling the tail cut character. It's just a tail, and then they're moving it. They're moving it to the Gaping Dragon, where the tail of the Gaping Dragon is, which is model point 100. And then they're making it play a writhing around animation.
And so what happens to his normal tail? Is that just something that's immediately hidden?
Yep, that's the set display mask command we can see just below the animation.
Oh, okay, here we go. I gotcha.
Yeah. So in the model data for the Gaping Dragon, I think it's in the NPC param, actually. We have bit index 0, so we have this mask set up for the Gaping Dragon, and when we change that display mask to on, so we do want to mask it, then it will disable the tail, and then the one after it does the same thing for collision.
Interesting.
Yeah. So a lot happening at once here. The game is quickly.
That's so you set the display mask on, but then wait. Oh no, that makes sense. Never mind. I was reading it a different way. But okay, so all right, let's just back up. I like to review things so that we just kind of keep everything together. So create NPC part, that's kind of, you're basically just spawning it in the game, giving it parameters here.
No,
Yeah.
that's not the cut tail at all. That's
I thought that was the cut tail.
That's setting the properties for the uncut tail. So because we want the uncut tail to have its own health bar.
You're right.
Being cut. Yep.
Okay. Down here, we're communicating with the AI for it to play the I got my tail cut animation, and then waiting for that part in the animation to actually do all this swapping, where we enable the tail, 5261, and move the tail character to its destination. So the characters dot this is that's the gaping dragon. Yep. Entity type character, which you wouldn't think if you were if you were just looking at this code and you're like, I don't know how games are put together, but I guess the tail is a character. You know, it doesn't have a personality too much, but it is a character within the context of the game.
That's the gaping dragon in this case, specifically as well.
Yeah. Model point, is that the coordinates at which it attaches, or something?
It's a predefined point. Yeah.
Okay.
So the gaping dragon's model, like the actual 3D model, you can have a bunch of, they're called dummy points or dummy polys in the game code. I call them model point here. And yeah, it's just it is an index to a specific 3D coordinate that exists in the model.
Sure.
Yeah. And then we're copying the draw parent, which we looked at last time, where, map parts, like the tail in this case, are only drawn if their draw parent is also drawn, if they have a draw parent.
Okay.
So by setting the draw parent to the gaping dragon, we know the tail is going to be drawn as long as the gaping dragon is being rendered.
Gotcha.
Yeah. In a very big boss arena with multiple different collisions that might not have everything drawn at once, that would matter. That would matter more.
Yeah. Very good.
And then we asked the tail, play the flop around animation, which is going to be 8,100.
Nice.
Mask out both the visuals and the collision for the gaping dragon's uncut tail. Yeah. And then we're doing an AI command here, which is different to the easy state AI request, which is very confusing. This is going to be like a permanent change to the gaping dragon's behavior based on its tail being cut.
Interesting.
Yeah. So in this case, I know the gaping dragon still tries to tail swipe you after you cut its tail.
Right.
But it might do it less often, possibly. I don't remember the exact script, but
interesting.
It does tell the gaping dragon, something's changed, and it uses IDs 20 for that.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting, because I like Sanctuary Guardian, I think also does the tail swipe still, but they're basically ineffective.
Yeah,
interesting.
And that's purely because the collision has been disabled. But I think the animation, there might be a variant of the animation for when the tail is cut.
Yeah, that would make sense.
And that's probably what that command is going to do in the AI script. Then we have just a simple check, is the player human or hollow?
And these
it's
are
kind of confusing,
right? Because -7?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And what they're doing here is you can see they're actually end if condition false, which we haven't seen before. So if you are not human or hollow, then end.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, and it's a little confusing because they often, sometimes they use more of a host client or an intruder or a black phantom, and then they use human or hollow, which basically means here not white phantom or black phantom. Yeah. But you can see why that's happening here, because they only want to give the tail cut reward to the host.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, but I guess if host, like checking if they're a host would only matter if they're in multiplayer. Like maybe host isn't applicable if it's single player. I don't know.
I think it should be, just because we did see it used in a check above that would always be running even if you're in the single player mode.
Interesting. Because I feel like they could have done that, just if host, but...
Yeah, there is a little bit of overlap. And you can actually see the award item lot argument has a host only.
Yeah, I saw that too. So I was like, oh, it's all in there as well. But okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
Little bit of redundancy, I think, but you never know what weird corner case they encountered during testing.
Yeah.
Like, screw it.
Yeah.
Just check everything.
So item lot ID would be that Dragon King Great Axe in this case.
Exactly.
And make sure that's only the host.
Who knows why they do it this way, to be honest. Yeah, but yeah, they could know a lot more.
But you did pick up that they're using an OR condition there, so that's good.
Yeah, the negatives.
Yeah. And they're not using it in a blocking instruction. It's checking once right now, but it's not going to wait for it to be true or false or anything. It's just check this now and end if this is false now. Otherwise, continue. That item lot, by the way, this is something we might have looked at last time. I don't think we really looked at item lots, but most item lots also have a flag attached to them. And when you get that item lot, that flag will be enabled, and that means that you won't get that item lot again.
Right.
So once you cut the Gaping Dragon's tail, you can't die and then come back and then get the item again.
Right.
You can cut the tail again, but you're not going to get the item again, and that's purely because of the item lot flag, which is kind of a separate system to what we're seeing here.
Huh.
So it's up to the item lot whether you can get it multiple times.
Okay. And that's per item?
It's per item lot,
item.
yeah.
Well,
which typically means per item.
Okay. So, but lot can be like a loot table? Like you do multiple items? Okay. All right.
Yeah, a single item lot might have, rather than being guaranteed to get a certain item, you might have a chance of getting various different items.
Right, because... can you... No. Now, I was trying to think of a... Well, okay, so like gargoyles can drop... No, their tail can drop the tail axe, and then you can also get their helmet, I think.
Yeah, and that's an item lot that the event script, we can actually see that in the parish map here, but the event script will always give it to you, but the item lot itself might, not actually, you might get an unlucky dice roll.
Right.
Behind the scenes. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's what item lot means. It's item lottery.
Gotcha.
Usually it's just one guaranteed item, like in this case, but you can have some percentage chance of getting no item from the lot.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. And then I think we have one more tail-related event here, 5397, which is setting up a different part. That's
character back read enabled.
Yeah, that's basically checking, is the Gaping Dragon loaded? Yeah. And then it's creating a part. So this is separate to the tail part. I think this might be the... Yeah, this is creating an invincible part. You see that damage correction argument to this one? So we don't know exactly what it is. We can't tell from here. We'd have to look up the model. But it's creating a part of the Gaping Dragon that is immune, I believe. Hot Pocket might know here. I can tell you exactly what it is. And it's changing the material.
NPC
this is the Gaping Dragon's head, Hot Pocket says.
Huh.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So... What's happening there with the damage correction? I would have thought the damage correction there would have been higher if it's creating a weak spot for the head. So that it wobbles when you attack it. Or maybe a correction of 0 just means, no correction. So
damage. Maybe so. Huh.
There you go. Hot Pocket knows. Always a safe bet.
This is so when it wobbles when you attack it. Really? Huh.
That's funny.
See part effects.
Oh, I see. Yeah, set effects. Okay, so it's setting the sound effects and the visual effects separately for the head. Looks like.
Interesting.
And then we have one more event after this. So we have another part. So the Gaping Dragon has all of these sub-parts made that do different things. Oh, yeah, I think this is what you were talking about, Hot Pocket. And you can see this is... So that multi-line check here has got that error again where the value should be 0.
Yep, I see that.
Yeah, when you deal, and the part of this is set to 1, the part health, which means when you deal any damage, it's going to tell the Gaping Dragon to wobble its head through those AI commands, I think.
Interesting.
Yeah,
disable network sync down here and then wait 1 second. Is this in seconds, I guess?
Yeah, that's in seconds.
And then
it's
enable network sync again. Huh.
That's the kind of black magic stuff that I don't touch. Why we don't do too many multiplayer mods.
Fair enough.
Who knows what bug they ran into where they decided that they had to add those 3 lines in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
And that's the end of the Gaping Dragon events. So yeah, there's a few extra ones here, but for the most part, they're all part of the standard setup in Dark Souls 1 for bosses.
Okay, wow. Let's see here. I'm gonna get up here. I guess, so if we consider, let's see. So let's say first thing is handling, I mean, in most cases, I guess, if you're making a mod, you could probably just edit something that's already there, right? Like, so let's say we're gonna change what Gaping Dragon does or whatever. So a lot of these things you wouldn't need to touch, like entering the boss fog and that sort of thing. So as far as a boss activating and being there and everything goes, what are all these steps? Let's see here. Cutscene, possibly, like play cutscene if it's there. Which I guess, yeah.
That's just the name of the box. It's used for playing cutscene, but it's also used to check if you've entered the arena.
Check if you're into the arena, yeah.
Yeah. So I could give it a more helpful name.
Oh yeah, that's fine. That's Dragonfly rotation. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of like if I were to be wanting to modify like scripts on a boss. I guess all you would really be mostly that one that huge script that we looked at that kind of controls like the AI and that thing. Like that's kind of the main chunk of the code you would want to look at to edit.
If you're doing a mod and you are kind of targeting single player, there's a lot of this you can simplify as well. And in fact, you don't have to implement the fog at all at being able to enter it, because just like in Sekiro, you can set it up so that the boss arena is just standing there, and when you walk into it, so you set up a trigger box, it just creates the fog to prevent you from leaving, but you don't have to worry about being able to enter it or waiting for the player to enter it. And so you simplify things that way, and then you just enable the music and wait for the boss to die and then disable the music, basically.
Yeah, makes sense.
And you don't have to worry about the like letting white phantoms enter the fog or buffing the boss for multiplayer.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what's something we could do real quick to like kind of make some changes and see them in the game?
Yeah, good question. And definitely worth doing. We could change the name of the boss right here. That's very easy. And
yeah,
we looked at this last week actually because we wanted to do this for the Soldier of God.
Soldier of God.
So at the bottom of event 5392 is where we create the boss health bar.
Okay.
And there's a name ID in that. And you can see it's the same as the Gaping Dragon's model, and that extends to, all boss names here.
Makes sense.
But yeah, I'll quickly tell you an ID that we can... Actually, you can check. If you go to the text tab up the top there, so if you jump away from events, and you go to NPC Names. Yep. And you can see all the entries here. Yeah, for the bosses.
There's Gaping Dragon 5260, and just change this here. Yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly. We could change that using a text mod.
Yeah.
Or you could change the ID and point to something else, but that would
I see.
Be a bit less probable.
Makes sense. And so it doesn't support you being able to just like instead of an ID you do like quotes and do a string and like
no, you have to create it as a name ID.
Fair enough.
Yeah. No, that wouldn't work. It would be cool to like auto-generate text that way, but.
So I'm gonna name him Gaping Dargan. Just I don't know.
Perfect.
It's different. It's different. Gaping Dragon fart. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Let's see what else we can do here.
Yeah.
So we could make the ultimate mod. We'll call it Gaping Dragon Cutscene Fix. Cutscene only plays once.
Oh, wow, nice. Yeah.
To do that, if you kind of search for that flag, the 1-1 with the 6 zeros after it. And you can just double click on it and then Control F to search that as well. Yeah. Just on the ID.
Yeah, there it goes.
And then press enter.
Yep.
Until it cycles. Keep looking until you see disable flag.
There it is.
Flag.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can just comment that line out or you can delete it. But again, this is note that this is part of a line skip. And the line is still going to skip 5 lines, and that's going to be potentially catastrophic if you get the number wrong. So we also want to change that 5 to a 4 now that we've removed one of those lines. Yep.
Oof. Yeah, that's some delicate code here.
Exactly. This is why you better to use if blocks. It's worth noting that in Bloodborne they added go-tos, which are a bit more robust than skips. They're not vulnerable to the issue of getting the number wrong. You just have to make sure the label's in the right place to jump to.
Go to, you just create any string of text as a label. Is that right?
Or there's a bunch of like internal label slots, like from 1 up to 30 or something like that you can use.
Okay.
Okay. And yeah, what else can we do? We could.
Let's see.
So most of the other events here are just there's slime ambushes, like slimes dropping from the ceiling.
Yeah.
Or opening a chest. That's an event you'll see a lot.
Okay, 5392. Found it again. Let's see. I mean, you can just have it so that you don't enable the AI, right? And then you walk in and it's just standing there.
That's a good test.
Yeah.
Or alternatively, you could never disable the AI and the boss will just rage at you through the fog, which is always funny. Yeah.
Okay. And let's see what else we got here. I mean, I'm sure there's weird stuff you could do with, not resetting.
But it's unless you have some specific sort of creative plan in mind, that's
we could just we could not wait frames, not wait the single frame, the magical frame, and then see how horrible it looks when.
But remember, in that case, you're going to want to change that line skip from 7 to 6.
Oh my god!
Just above.
Yeah, you have to just trace it all the way back and see.
Yeah.
Okay.
We could change that to an indentation here as well to avoid that.
Oh yeah. Let's see. 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, okay. So I can't select and indent.
No, sorry. There's something missing right now. See, if we indent all this, yeah. Yep.
Okay.
And then put it inside if flag disabled.
Oh.
Because we want to skip if enabled, so that's the same thing as if disabled.
Wait, is it what's the context for if disabled?
Just if space flag disabled.
Flag disabled.
Yeah, capital F, capital D.
Okay. No colon or anything? Oh.
We want a colon after so you have to put the flag ID in brackets now.
Oh, right. Oh boy.
Yep, and then close bracket and then colon. And
there we go.
That's it. Yep. And you might want to get rid of that skip.
Yeah. Get rid of that too.
Yep. Boop. There you go. So now, you never have to worry about that line skip again.
Nice.
So it might be worth testing this out.
Yeah.
But you might want the debug build for Dark Souls if you want to be able to teleport to the boss, or you can just run through the map. But you're going to want to probably load directly into that map.
Or I could just cheat engine. Whoa.
Yep.
I sing happy birthday for Dark Bite today. I presume that's somebody that works on Cheat Engine. Happy birthday, Dark Bite.
Yeah, I saw that this morning too. Happy birthday, Dark Bite.
Let's see. There we go.
I assume we owe you some debt to this.
Okay, so how do we wait, if I've saved and compiled,
click export event script up the top.
Export event script. Okay, and this is gonna plop it immediately into the game?
Yep, that's it. We're good to go.
Awesome. All right.
With our potential secret tail cut mod as well.
Of course.
The 5 health mod.
Oh, yeah,
hard tail cuts. Put it to Nexus, hard tail cuts.
Oh my. All right, I was kind of worried. I was like, well, maybe we're going to be online, but there is no online. Online does not exist in Dark Souls right now. Oh, gosh.
I see Lady Luna back said, can we experiment with Asylum Demon? We can see the changes easily. Yeah, the thing with Asylum Demon is that there's a lot of more complicated stuff going on as the tutorial boss and the double fight sort of setup.
Yeah, and it's fine. We can just teleport right down there with Cheat Engine. What am I trying to do? Oh, lower Dark Souls audio. It's a bit loud. A bit loud. Attach here. And oh, there we go. Last bonfire. The depths. Gaping Dragon's room. No, depths bonfire. Okay. I will have to run down to the boss though, but that's fine. There we are. So slow. Oh, I can't. So I can't do anything at a bonfire, which is
yeah.
I presume
that requires.
We've skipped some scripts.
Exactly. A lot of the bonfire options require the Asylum tutorial flag to be enabled. Oh yeah, we're gonna have a fun time here.
I need to give myself this key. We don't need these other keys. Dungeon cell key? Nah. Hopefully it has an easy replacer. I've swapped so many different Cheat Engine versions. I don't know which. Let's see.
We could have unlocked the door in the event script as well.
That's true. That's true. let's see. Okay, let's do that. Let me save and quit, and we'll just unlock the door. Too many other games that with different save and quit interactions. Okay, so let's see. How do we find that door and make it not require a key?
So just scroll up to the constructor event in here.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Where we created ladders and all that. So statue.
Yeah, just below that. Just keep going. Let me open mine as well.
Bunch of events here. Objects.
Yeah, I think we want one of the 5,000 events. Yeah.
Okay, I see. Box characters, objects, and
No, yeah, that's rats bursting out of boxes, I think.
Perfect.
Something like that. Yeah.
Perfect.
And put a bunch of those everywhere.
Slime ambush triggers. Are doors considered a character?
No, doors would be objects, but some doors are purely taken care of from the map parameters.
Oh, interesting.
As well. But most of them have event scripts because they want the door to usually, once you open it, you can't interact with it anymore. But some doors you can. Oh, hang on, this might be it. 0120. So event 1100, just below the fog events at the top.
0120. Yeah, objects 1315.
Yeah, that'll be it. Okay. So if you can double click on that event name, like with the underscore in it, and Control F and jump to that event.
Interesting.
And you can see this is an event that takes arguments, which some events do. And currently they're not labeled because it's tough to automatically detect what the arguments are used for, but you can see, it's just like any function you can do this. Yeah.
I see this though. If player has good, that seems like our key check.
Yeah, but see what this is doing is this doesn't actually determine whether you can open the door or not. That's strictly in params. What this is doing is displaying a message about which key you use to unlock the door. And I think this is because this door can be opened with a master key.
Right.
And so the game has to detect whether you actually have the real key or not. And if you don't, it'll tell you that you use the master key to unlock it. But we're still not out of hope. If we don't mind restarting the game, we can go to params and we can just hack this door.
Yeah.
Nice, return to params.
Okay.
Yeah, Hot Pocket agrees.
That's new.
Handled by object. So if we scroll down in the list to object activations in here.
Object activations.
Yeah.
And then it was 1000. Is that right?
Yeah, it'll be one of probably this one. We can check if we scroll down. Now that one's unconditional. You can see there are no success conditions for this interaction. So it must be one of the other ones.
1001. Wait, no. The map is.
Maybe that 5-digit one. Yeah, 1000. There's 11315. I think that's the one we want.
11315. Oh, I see. There we go. Okay. Required good 1 and 2.
Yeah. So the first one's going to be the sewer chamber key, the one that you're actually meant to get, and the 2100 is going to be the master key. So you can see there are 2 conditions that will cause this door to be unlockable. And all we have to do to get rid of that is change the has good condition type to no condition.
Nice.
Yep. On both.
Awesome.
And then set both of the required goods to -1 as well, just to be safe. I don't know if it's
sure.
necessary. But, yeah.
Broken link. All right.
Yeah, I got to fix that as well. Now, if you export params and save them, then they should go to the game.
Error. -1 is outside range.
Okay. I was worried this might happen. I've been doing some param fiddling as well. It might just be that actually. Maybe it is supposed to be 0.
We'll see. Let's see. Save, export. Yeah. No complaining this time. So let's see.
Okay.
Let's see.
Probably fix that. Yeah, the param fields, sometimes they don't like to be negative, but if they are negative, it actually doesn't matter. So
right.
We'll have to figure out how strict to be about that. Good to know the work though. So yeah, that door should not care at all now.
All right, there we go.
Be interesting if Parandomizer randomized the item you need to get through any given door.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Wait, okay, let's see. Used master key. Well, I'm not sure that's true, but it works anyways.
Yeah, exactly. That's the event script.
Yeah.
And remember, we saw it checks if you have the sewer chamber key, and if not, it goes, well, you must have the master key. So,
joke's on you, developers.
There's no other way you could have gone through this door.
Oh no! Okay, we need another door check because this one does not open from this side. Is that also an object activation?
This one, we're going to want to do object activation again.
Okay.
Because the event script we could edit, but it's only going to, we'd have to do a little bit more than that. Because how these doors work is that there's actually a little box on the side of the door you're allowed to open it from, and it gives you a special effect that basically says, I can open doors from this side.
No.
And it's the same for all doors, which is funny. So one-way shortcuts, if you could stand on one side of one and somehow reach your really long arm and open another one, you'd be able to open it.
There is a glitch where you can parry animation with your back to the door down to lower berg. And for a brief second, you can hit A and it'll open it from the wrong side.
So it's putting you in that box on the other side of the door, which is nice.
So is it this other 10? Like, that's the only other 10-0-0 that I see.
Shouldn't be, just because the condition isn't there. There should be one with a success condition that's set to a special effect type. Let me see if I can find it in the map data here.
It's a 315 we did. Yeah, the Undead Berg Sip, exactly.
1315. Might be 1319. Is there a...
I don't see 1319.
No. I'll just open Map Studio quickly and be able to find it. This is useful knowledge.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm in Map Studio, zooming down to this door. Oh no, this is Nightfall. This is not. This is not normal depths. Okay. Just go vanilla.
If you want to do Dark Souls, any buffs, you'll need to avoid the secret can open doors buff.
Where is that effect?
These challenge runs are getting ridiculous. Hot pot. Does object activations basically hold all of the doors that are locked in the game?
Not all of them. So
Okay.
it's basically, it kind of contains presets. It just contains a bundle of information like what model point do you have to be standing at to open this door? What animation should the door play and the player play? What key do you need? All of it could be done through event scripts, but I think they got tired of writing the exact same code at some point, and they're like, okay, all of this can be bundled together. But large doors, like the door to Blighttown out of the depths, for example, that's purely done in event scripts.
Interesting.
It's just, there's a box and it triggers an action prompt, and when you press the action prompt, it checks if you have the key and so on.
I do see several that are does not open from this side, but they're not tied to that map ID. So if they're templates, then maybe that. Like this is 1001. This doesn't open from this side. Has special effect. But I don't know if that is like something they just copy pasted around and then.
It's possible, but usually they would make a copy. Maybe looking in the maps tab might be useful as well, because I do see another. If we go to objects here, you can see there's O. You might have to click next 200 down the bottom to get to the next page.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Wait.
It only shows you 200 at once. Yeah. And now if you go down to O1315, that'll be the door object.
Oh, that was for the door we just did. Okay, yeah, I see.
Yeah, and you can see there's another one there that doesn't have an ID. And now if we go to events objects, so on the left where the green text is, the events, you scroll down to objects.
Oh, I see. Objects. Wow.
Object
and that's
activation.
very specifically there.
Yeah,
okay.
And you can see its param ID is -1, which means it'll use the default, which is the same as the object ID. So it should be 1315.
Interesting.
Yeah, but it definitely
weird.
Doesn't seem to have any conditions associated. So,
there's an object act flag. What is that?
That flag is it's the flag the game will use to remember whether the door is open or shut.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, this is part of the system that avoids using event scripts just by having it all contained in here.
Gotcha.
Yeah, this is interesting. would expect it to use the 4150, yeah, but it doesn't seem to be. And this door doesn't even have an event ID, so we know it's not being referenced in the event script at all. You can see the entity ID is -1.
Huh.
What about the 1319? What door is that?
I see 1319. Draw
That doesn't
parent
even have...
into 3. Into 310B0. It's got a draw parent. I don't know.
I'm just going to have another look in my end here. No, that one doesn't have any activation. I think that ID just happens to be close. Oh, it could even be the Blighttown door, would be my guess.
Oh, I was looking at the wrong one. Whoops. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, what is making this door not...
we got to pull up all the crazy, unexpected cases here so we can dig into it and figure out what's going on.
Yeah, it's weird, and you can see, yeah, like you saw with 1314 in the params, where it is checking that special effect 4150.
Yep.
And that's exactly what I'd expect to see. But there's also no event script where that effect is applied, which is what the other maps typically do. Jumping between them here. Oh, I'm out of ideas for now.
Well,
We might just have to take the extra few seconds to get around it.
let's say, I closed the game, I think. Yeah, I did. All right, let's see.
Oh, Twisted Gwazi says it is 01319.
Shorkadori is 1319.
In that case, it probably is in the event scripts, and I just didn't find it.
Oh.
Take a look.
13. Wait, what? Oh, 1319.
Ah, yes.
Found it?
Yeah. So this is actually, ironically, one of those doors that's completely hard-coded. The event we want is the one ending in 0100.
I got it.
Yeah, here it is. So
Wow.
We're taking a look. Yeah, similar to the fog walking. So this flag, you can see it's checking that flag's disabled. If that flag is enabled, that will tell us this event has already ended, which will mean you've opened the door. So this door has to be shut, which is basically what that line means, and we're generating an action prompt, and we're attaching it to the door, and you can see we've got like an angle, you have to be facing the door, the max distance for the prompt to appear. The trigger attribute tells you what players can see this, that has options like only human, only hollow, only white phantoms. And we're waiting for the player to press that action prompt. We're going to move them and snap the player to the door at model point 121.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. And then we're going to force the player. Yeah, short move. It's used, I don't know exactly what the max distance is for it, but the instruction, I guess, uses it to indicate, you don't have to worry about refreshing any draw parents or anything.
Interesting.
And then we're going to force the player and the door to play a certain animation at the same time. And the door's opening animation is just 0. So it's the fact that the action prompt is only generated at model point 101 that's making this door one-sided, because model point 101 is only going to be on one side of the door.
Interesting.
It's not going to be on the other side. So the easiest way to make this happen now is just going to be actually commenting out everything in this script except the last line, and then the door will just magically open unconditionally. Yeah.
We can keep the player animation so it looks nice. Well, actually, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make it look weird because we're modding, all right?
Please do.
All right, let's see. I guess we should still check for if flag disabled, though, yeah?
Yeah,
because we still want to open it, not replay that a bunch of times.
You can change the condition for it to just 0, though, because that's the only condition now. So if flag disabled into condition 0.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
You mean the ID or? No.
The condition, so that where it says 1, comma.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we're going to wait for that flag to be disabled. Yeah. So this event won't do anything if the door's already open.
Okay. I get you. All right. Let's see. Save and compile. All right. Export event script. Let's see.
Yeah. And because if you were standing in front of the door when you quit the game, we should actually see the beautiful sight now of this door just magically opening as soon as you load into the game.
Oh, right. I don't have to press anything. Yes.
Yeah, I think you're right, Hot Pocket. There'll be a second event for when you try to open the door from the wrong side.
There it goes. That was a ghost. Oh my gosh. Now I'm
go.
playing Phasmophobia. All right. Nice.
Phasmophobia mod. There you go. Objects randomly animate themselves.
That's the next mod. It's a horror mod.
Imperial Hell says, oh, that's a good idea as well. Yeah, if you change the max distance to something much bigger, then you would probably get access to the prompt from the wrong side.
Nice.
That would actually be confusing because you do get a prompt on the wrong side already. It just triggers the locked message. And if you try to trigger the same prompt with the same text, it will only give you one of them. That's something I discovered accidentally. So there we go. We're activating event 5390.
Okay, so what are the things we changed? He does not activate, and the cutscene only ever plays once.
Yeah,
let's see.
that's the ultimate lore mod.
And we do not skip one frame, or we do not wait one frame.
And you saw the health bar appear because of that. Right? Oh, we forgot to export our text, I think, when we made that
Oh,
edit
you're
as
right.
well.
You're right. That's right. We also, Okay. Indeed,
There you go.
non-functional gaping dragon.
Yep.
No AI here. But let's see. Will we see the cutscene a second time?
Oof, that's the real test.
That's the real test. Oh, I keep hitting retry, and then it tries to get back online. Cutscene-less. Amazing.
There you go.
Amazing. The power of modding. There you have it.
So with this setup, you could snipe the gaping dragon from up where the channeler is.
Oh,
There you
speaking
go.
of which.
Easiest cheese in the world.
Nice.
Of course, you could do something like, you could make the boss invincible until you enter the fog, and that would kind of get around it, but it wouldn't make much sense. This dragon's just sitting there.
Yeah.
Getting shot, doing nothing about it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Or you could leave the AI on and watch the gaping dragon try to attack you while you're standing up there.
Yeah, that would be cool. Okay. Well, I know you said you needed to keep it to an hour and a half today, and we completely ignored that.
That's okay.
But
Event scripting is too fun to.
yeah. So I bet for probably the average person watching, that's pretty dense. There's a lot of stuff going on there. So
one of the things I'd love to do is, I showed you how you can replace these line skips in conditions with much simpler Python-style if-else blocks. But the drawback right now is that when this script is generated from the vanilla event script, it doesn't kind of convert them for you automatically. That's the one big sort of improvement to barrier to entry that I'd like to do at some point. But got a lot of stuff on the table to hopefully take care of first with actual mods and things. But if those line skips were automatically replaced, I think it'd be a lot more readable.
Definitely.
You don't have to worry about the condition groups. If you do want to understand a bit more about it, I do recommend Hot Pockets videos as well.
Cool. Very cool. Yeah. Well, awesome. Intro to scripts. We did a little script messing around. And yeah, I think there's a lot more. I think you know more of how much there is to do with scripts, than what we've done today. So
yeah, we've actually seen, bosses have a lot to them, and almost half this map is just the boss event scripts. Because really, this map, aside from the boss, we saw there's a couple of events that control doors. There'll be an event to control the chest. I think there's only one chest in this map. There'll be events that trigger the slime drops that try to ambush you. And there'll be some events for Kirk invading and for summoning Solaire or Lautrec against the boss. And that would be pretty much it, I think. There is one event that makes the tiny rats scamper across the ground at a few points in the depths as well.
Nice.
They're just objects that, get enabled at certain triggers.
Nice. That's cool.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be cool if next time we can focus on a few little things that can happen. Maybe some of the smaller scripts like chests and stuff, and maybe just change what item you get out of it, or maybe give it like a loot table, and it can be one of a couple of items or something, just to mess with it and see what you can do.
That sounds good. I think another good tutorial is to create some new enemy ambushes.
Oh, yeah, that would be
all
great.
that involves is, you got to move or place a new enemy, you create a trigger box, and then you create a very simple event script that just triggers an animation when you step in that box.
Yeah,
so that's a great intro.
Putting a bunch of things together there, so that'd be cool.
Yeah. And like I mentioned earlier, even though FromSoft has split up all these events for the boss, when you're modding and creating a new boss, it is possible to do it all in one script. And, when you do that, it's a bit easier to follow what's happening because there is a specific order of events. You have to enter the fog, then the boss AI is enabled and the music, and then you're just waiting for the boss to die and you do cleanup. And that's it.
Nice. Very cool. And so the reason we came back to Dark Souls is that this is not fully ready for Elden Ring. Is that right?
That's exactly right.
Okay, cool.
I added enough basic support to get the survival mod done.
Oh, yeah.
But, there's just a lot of undocumented new instructions.
Okay.
Some things have changed. I've kind of, because all of my modding is pretty much in Dark Souls 1 with a bit of Bloodborne support.
Yeah.
Anything that was added in Sekiro or Dark Souls 3, I'm also missing from my software at the moment.
Gotcha.
So I'm going to catch up a bit.
But
Hot Pocket and Fifth Mat are working on it as well.
Awesome. Yeah, this is super cool because you just have everything right here in it, and you've got the export buttons and just, I like the hyperlinks too that let you just jump from one piece to another, that are related. That's super handy.
Mm-hmm.
And
you can even look at the AI scripts here, but that's a whole different thing.
I did a little. No, I didn't do any, but I remember that when I used to play WoW a lot, all their add-ons are in Lua. So I looked at the scripts at some point, and I was like, I get this. I didn't, but it was there.
Yeah,
cool.
nice.
Very cool.
You click just in that. You can click decompile as well if you want to look at the AI scripts. But
I see.
I don't recommend we jump into that just yet.
Maybe
Awesome.
some other time. Yeah. Okay. Very cool. Well, thank you so much for episode 3 of how to mod Souls games. I said Elden Ring, but whatever. We've mostly been using Elden Ring.
And everything we just learned, 95% of it carries over to Elden Ring. Still condition blocks, still the flag ID system. It's just the instructions have expanded a bit in terms of what you can do, and there's a lot more complex stuff being managed in event scripts.
Yeah, that's exciting. Very cool stuff. As always, exclamation point. I think Grimrukh is the command for Patreon, and if any of the other modders here want to share their info, you're very welcome to do that anytime. And we appreciate all the work that you do for both helping educate, but also just create all these awesome mods and keep these games alive. So thank you, Grim.
Thank you. I've finally started sharing Nightfall previews again on my Patreon. So
Oh,
there's a little more to see there than there has been recently with all the distractions.